Secular ethics are the practice of ethical behavior outside of religion or without following any religious-based moral code. As the Dalai Lama states, more fundamental than religion, therefore, is our basic human spirituality. We have an underlying human disposition toward love, kindness, and affection, irrespective of whether we have a religious framework or not. This disposition, His Holiness implies, is what enables humans to practice secular ethics.
Secular ethics in Tibetan Buddhism. 1. It is important to note that secular ethics can be applied in the absence of religion. In many instances, people base their everyday actions on generating good merit, ensuring a favorable afterlife, increasing their chances of going to heaven, or avoiding sin as mandated by specific religions. As stated in Beyond Religion, I found a quote that says, "On one hand, the theistic religions, ethics is ultimately grounded in some understanding of God," as seen on page 14. However, people should be motivated to behave in an ethical and virtuous fashion not because of religion, but because it is the righteous and ideal way to live, progress, better the lives of others, and achieve harmony. The Dalai Lama goes on to note that in non-theistic religions, including Buddhism, karma and not a religious deity is the origin of belief and guides us to live in an ethical fashion. As mentioned early on in lecture, Buddhism is very different from other religions because it is believed that no deity can actually save us. We are ultimately held responsible for our own actions, and secular ethics will help us to accumulate good karma. 2. To support this point, I chose a quote from Beyond Religion that says, "But while I can understand how science has undermined faith in some aspects of traditional religion, I see no reason why advances in science should have the same effect on the notion of inner or spiritual values. Indeed, the need for inner values is more pressing in this age of science than ever before." And then I found this quote on page 4. Now, in my opinion, this quote, as stated by His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, shows that although people may choose to place their faith in new scientific discovery over religion, people should not ignore ethics, because ethics are such an essential part of our livelihood, and as shown by the quote, secular ethics are applicable and relevant to all areas of time and throughout history. 3. In India, secular means accepting of all faiths, not non-religious or against religion, as is held by common belief. This definition should help to guide our actions towards others and promote a tolerant view of other beings. 4. A Tibetan Buddhist example illustrating the epitome of secular ethics concerns bodhisattvas. And as we learned about them in lecture, these beings have bodhicitta, or altruistic intention, and renounce their freedom from the cycle of samsara and freedom from reincarnation in order to help others attain their same enlightened state, which I think is very noble and very interesting. Bodhisattvas also believe that their own enlightenment benefits other sentient beings. At the core of their behavior is a selfless and compassionate desire for the well-being of others. And this concept of intention also related back to our most recent unit on karma, cause, and effect, in which we learned that karma is one's intentions and actions that precede the fruits and results once the karma has ripened. So here too it is expressed that positive intentions will result in positive outcomes. It's that definite nature of karma, that definite nature of intention. 5. It is important to live ethically because of the two pillars for secular ethics as named in Beyond Religion, and those are shared humanity and interdependence. The Dalai Lama mentions that all humans are essentially the same, as he proves by the common genetic code in all of us, and all humans wish not to endure suffering. The pillar of interdependence proposes that all living things are dependent on one another for survival. It's even expressed that once upon a time we were all each other's mother, and based on these messages, it is evident that we must live ethically by supporting and promoting the welfare of others through the challenges presented in life. So basically, we're all in this together, and that thinking in this way should help us to show more compassion towards one another, which leads into point 6. At the basic of secular ethics is compassion towards oneself and towards others. The Dalai Lama wrote that, quote-unquote, loving is of even greater importance than being loved, and that's on page 45. He wrote that humans thrive off of compassion from others, and that even in his own experiences in surgery, he healed quickly because of the compassionate hospital staff.
We felt that since secular ethics is not bound to a certain religion, we find it incredibly interesting that these values are universal and can reach people of all different backgrounds. We believe that secular ethics is extremely applicable to us, especially living in an environment with people of varying cultures. The point that the Dalai Lama made on karma being the motivating factor for behavior accentuates the importance of accountability, which we believe is essential in maintaining a harmonious society. It's also fascinating how simplistic this concept is by nature. The basis of secular ethics rests in harnessing empathy and compassion in everyday life, or in other words, just doing good. The fundamental principles of secular ethics is so simple that the concept is introduced to us at an early age without our younger selves even realizing it. For example, it's been instilled in us to treat others the way we want to be treated and to be kind to others. The simplicity of these values and the fact that children can comprehend this moral code reinforces the idea that secular ethics is absolutely pertinent to us and that it's truly a timeless philosophy. Above all, the tolerance of secular ethics is what we find the most interesting facet of this topic. To reiterate on the Indian definition of secular, this term means the inclusion of all theologies. No religion is seen as superior to another, and everyone is on the same playing field. This idea mirrors the Dalai Lama's notion of shared humanity, which allows us to coexist peacefully without having religious beliefs clash with living morally. We live in such a polarizing and at times violent world with contrasting opinions coming from the right and left that it can be difficult to find common ground. With secular ethics, it is possible to subdue these corruptive qualities and make strides toward a more compassionate and ethical world.
The honor policy at UVA, the signing of the honor pledge at convocation, and the signing of the pledge before every assessment communicates that as students, we are integral members of a community of trust. We are entrusted with maintaining integrity and responsibility for our actions. As students at the university, we live ethically by doing honest and original work and know that true intellectual growth stems from putting in our own effort into assignments. 2. Another way in which we can live ethically is by being watchful and protective of those we care about in social situations. When we all, as first years, came to UVA, we attended a green dot presentation, and this communicated the importance of looking out for others at parties and in social situations. We learned that being a green dot meant accompanying a friend home from a party or being an active bystander when someone else is in danger. Being present and simply looking to help others is a component of a compassionate and ethical lifestyle. 3. India's definition of secularism within the concept of secular ethics is an acceptance towards other faiths and beings. And we can apply this Tibetan Buddhism's secular value to our interactions with others. In a place as diverse as a college campus, for example, we learn to be open-minded and accepting of our peers. At the beginning of the year, all students were required to take the implicit bias module, and that alerted us to the detriments of stereotyping and judging others. If we live in a tolerant manner, we open ourselves up to learning about new cultures, ideas, and the world in general. This mindset encourages an ethical livelihood because we maintain a positive outlook and are able to look past stereotypes to fully appreciate people for who they are and for their individual traits. Through acceptance and unbiased views, we can truly grow as students and as individuals. Another way in which we could become more accepting of others is by spending time with people who are of different backgrounds and hold different beliefs. If we are exposed to other ways of thinking, we are also better equipped to make informed decisions. And in this way, we can also realize that people we think are vastly different from us are not so different at all. 4. Practicing compassion and selflessness forms the basis of an ethical lifestyle.
When we look at secular nonprofit organizations like Doctors Without Borders or UNICEF, we see people volunteering their time, effort, and often their lives in varying capacities to better the lives of those who are suffering. While some of these people may be motivated to do good in the name of religion, others may be atheist, like the members of the Humanist Service Corps. So, we know that their compassion alone is what motivates them to do work that can many times be dangerous, grueling, and distressing. Polly Marcandia of Doctors Without Borders states that separating Doctors Without Borders from not only religious but political, racial, and philosophical tenets makes our work possible, because it separates their goals from strife and hatred caused by religious, racial, and other differences. She also says that the guiding beliefs of their organization as a whole are equality, that everyone is entitled to a doctor and to healthcare, and that all people are deserving of human dignity. And she believes that most of their donors are also motivated primarily by this. Our shared human experience is what generates our empathy and what forms the basis of secular ethics.
As a whole, secular ethics is a moral code without a religious foundation that tolerates any faith. How we choose to act and the resulting karma is the driving force to our ethical behavior, not a divine figure. As expressed by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, ethics is a crucial component in life, especially since we are a shared humanity and thrive off of interdependence. What's also important is that secular ethics possesses a practice of bodhicitta, or altruistic underlying principles that emphasize compassion and selflessness as the foundation for an ethical way of life.
Is it possible to agree with the concept of secular ethics if you don't believe that humans are inherently good? For example, what if you believe that humans are inherently bad? In our personal opinions, the concept of secular ethics is based around the principle that humans are naturally compassionate and want to do good for others, without necessarily needing an external guide such as religion to motivate this type of positive behavior. This concept is emphasized by the Dalai Lama and Beyond Religion many times, with His Holiness stating that secular ethics is about trusting and unleashing our inner moral compasses and being guided internally by our natural desires to benefit the world around us. If we believe that humans are inherently bad or lacking in ethics, and thus need a complex moral code to be imposed on them by religion in order for society to be at peace, you are less likely to believe that ethical behavior can be practiced to the same extent outside of religion or in a secular manner. If religion is a disciplining and guiding force, then humans can be considered to be lost without it. But the concept of secular ethics and the thoughts of the Dalai Lama disagree with this. They believe that in order to be ethical, you need to look inside yourself. All the motivation to be compassionate lies within you already. In the worldview of the Dalai Lama and Buddhism, we might expect that the explanation for negative human behavior is not that humans are naturally bad, but that some humans are unable to connect with their internal moral compasses because of the distractions all around them in their environment. That as a result, they are unable to be mindful of the true nature of life and the importance of compassion. This is something along the lines of the contemporary humanist concept that negative human behavior can be explained by the environment and circumstances shaping the person, not their inherently bad nature.
As we come to the end of the presentation, we leave you with a few questions to reflect on how secular ethics can apply to you. How do you plan to live more ethically in a way that betters both yourself and society? Do you agree with the Dalai Lama in that these secular ethics should really be secular beliefs held by everyone in society, and how can we promote it?